Hi everyone, this is Willow, and this is the very first video that I'm making in a line of videos that I'll be doing covering mostly witch life and spirituality, mythical beasts, a little bit of witch cooking, spells, altars, all kinds of basically pagan life. One of the reasons why I want to do this is there are a lot of books out there, but these books are made to sell books, both in telling stories about ghosts and spirits, witchcraft, and how to do things. And that's all great. And while I don't want to tread on anybody's toes, I know I'm going to get some negativity about this, but I just think that there's some truths that need to be told about a lot of different things, especially when it comes to witchcraft. So now I know you can see all these dolls behind me. I have over 200 dolls here in this house. I have so many, they're basically on my dining room table, on my counter. And some people may think I'm a nut, but these dolls, most of them, have spirits attached to them. And these are spirits from all walks of life, from many, many centuries ago to current day. I have some famous spirits here. I have some infamous spirits here. And a lot of them have wanted me to start making these videos for a while now. Some of them were witches in life. Some of them see things that are being propagated around and it makes them angry. And some of them want to tell their story. In fact, a lot of my spirits here want to tell their story. So what I'll be doing is I'll be making a series of videos, hopefully one a week, that will cover all these different subjects. One day I may be talking about how to set up an altar correctly, and then the next day I may be talking about one of my spirits here, have their doll here and tell you their story and let you know about their life. Now, a little bit about myself and why I think I'm even qualified, which I don't even know if I'm qualified, but they do apparently. I am a Salem trained witch. I have also always had some kind of psychic ability. As a child, I would have something that a lot of people would call night terrors now. Although once I got older and I started looking back, I had knowledge that no 5-year-old should have, or that I did have at that age. At 5 years old, I was having bloody dreams about like a 1920s gangland drive-by. The sound of Tommy guns firing, the cut of the suits and the style of the hat. Even a door where the doors of a car that open that way. You know, I mean, everybody nowadays knows, okay, the car doors all open the same way. No, I didn't have this knowledge because I was born in the 70s. I grew up in the 80s. Our cars didn't do that, and I never saw a car like that. But I was having dreams of these cars. I was having dreams of medieval castles, and I mean, I was open season, and for a 5-year-old, it was like terrifying. I mean, it was even younger than that because my mother told me from the time I was like a little child until I was like about 8 years old, I would never spend the full night in my room. I would always have to go into my mother's room. And it was because when I was in my mother's room, they would leave me alone. They wouldn't bother me, and I could actually get a night's sleep. And then I grew up in Boston, and Salem is like 20 minutes away from Boston. So I spent a lot of time in Salem, and I started training up there. I felt like I identified with a lot that was going on in Salem. I didn't quite fit in. I wasn't part of the mold. I was like always, you know, the weird chick. And I was very much interested in the witch trials, and I felt like a little affinity with the victims. And I spent a lot of time in Salem, and of course they had a very famous witch up there, Lori Cabot. And I ended up, and they also have, I don't want to leave out Warlock Christian Day. I have a couple of his books on hand. And so I started taking lessons, and in my 20s I ended up doing a spell that was way out of my depth. Something I hadn't handled before, but I was angry and I was motivated, and I fucked myself up big time. Truly. Fucked myself up big time. So bad that I had to have a demonologist friend unfuck me up, basically. And after that, I was just like, no, I'm not messing with any of this anymore. And last, I believe it was August, for some reason, I got a bee up my ass about looking for haunted dolls on eBay. And I was just scrolling. And I know what you're saying. And you're like, oh, God. Anyway, it was kind of like a disinterested scrolling. And I saw this one doll. And it was a Native American doll, and just the face, and I'm just like, okay. So I open it up and I read the description, and I'm like, well, you know, the doll's a little pricey because it's a porcelain doll. And I thought, well, it's a pretty doll, and I've kind of collected dolls, you know, kind of all my life. And I thought, well, yeah, it's a little pricey for a porcelain doll, but, you know, if it's true, you know. So I ended up buying the doll, and the minute that the doll walked, I unboxed the doll and put it on the counter, there was just like this whoosh, you know, this like energy buildup in my chest. And anybody that has like any psychic abilities understands that buildup. And it was just such a warm, welcoming type energy. It wasn't like this, oh God, you know, it was, I was kind of blown away by that. And I thought, okay, so I went back to this lady's eBay site. She had this other spirit named Ariane. And Ariane was listed as having served a high priestess of Wicca. And that she would unlock your psychic abilities. And I'm like, and I thought, do I dare? And I thought, well, all right, I'm gonna try. So I ordered Ariane, and Ariane came in, and she was here like 2 hours. And I went to a bookstore by my house, and I went and was looking at books on witchcraft, spells, crystals, stuff like that. And I was wearing a Salem, Massachusetts t-shirt. And this woman comes up and she says, oh, you know, she says, I know where Salem is. You know, she said, I used to live in Connecticut, and we got to talking. And she had been talking about her father that had passed on. And all of a sudden I like clearly saw like this man, and I started describing him, the hair, the build, the nose, the face, everything. And like she was in shock, and she says, that's my father. And I was in shock because that's never happened to me before. I've never, you know, I've only sensed spirits. I've never actually seen. And I was like, wow. And then she started talking about this guy that she liked, and from his nose to his hair to even the clothes that he wore, I nailed his description. And this was really freaky. For me. This had never happened. So anyway, after I come home from the bookstore, and I open my door, and I see this woman in my living room. And I had never seen a picture of her, and she never told me her name, but I knew instinctively. it was my friend's daughter that had passed on. And she looked at me, she says, I know you can see me, and I know you can hear me. And she says, and this is what I have to say, and you're going to tell my mom. And I was like blown away. I was like, okay. So I passed on the message, and later on, I was at my friend's house, and I saw a picture on the wall, and I said, who is that? And, you know, she said it was her daughter, and I said, that's who I saw. That was her. And so that kind of blew me away as well. But it is, she really lived up to her hype. Ariane has really, you know, unlocked my abilities. At this point, I can clearly hear spirits. I don't even need to use the pendulum anymore. It's so distinct. I can hear accents. I can hear inflections of tone. And it's actually, it's still, there's still some days, I mean, it's been almost a year at this point, and there's still some days I'm like, is this really happening? Is this really my life now? And it is. And a lot of my spirits, because I've been, you know, tinkering around with the idea of making these videos, and my spirits have been telling me for a while, you know, you need to do this, you need to do this. And I'm like, okay. And I have an excuse for this, an excuse for that, an excuse for that. And finally they're like, you just need to do this and cut the shit. So I am going to be doing this hopefully once a week. And my spirits are going to be helping me. They are going to give me some answers to things that I don't know. They've already told me a lot. But you know, they've answered questions about mythical beasts, about witches and witchcraft. They've about what goes on, about heaven, hell, purgatory, all that shit. They've like talked to me about that. Do I think I'm an expert? No. Am I passing along what I've heard? Yes. Do people think I'm schizophrenic? I've never been diagnosed as one. I don't seek anything out. I've had, I don't know. People may think I'm crazy, and I'm sure some of the things that I address in these videos is going to make people angry, because there are some famous people here, and I know I'm going to get negative backlash, and that's another reason why I've put off making these, because I know it's going to come. But what my spirits told me is the truth, that the truth is the truth, and I have nothing to fear from anybody's negativity. And to be honest, if somebody has a need to be negative over anything I say, what's going on in your life that you're that bored? Really? If you don't like what I have to say, there are like hundreds of other YouTube videos that you can watch. You know, you're not going to affect me because I do know what I know. And that being said, that was the short introduction to who I am and what I am doing here. And if you have any questions about certain things about pagan life or witchcraft, I have set up an email. It's salemwillow@yahoo.com. Hopefully I will be setting up a website soon, because I am actually an ordained minister as well. So I am going to be working on that. And hopefully I will be moving soon so that I don't have to listen to the noisy neighbors. Plus I need some room for all these spirits here now, because I have over 150 here. So that was the first video in the line of videos that I'm doing. I hope you will enjoy these. I hope you will like them and share them. And I hope to be back with you soon. Bye.